what's going on, everyone? Dominic the Primetime Treasure Hunter here. I made a pretty good sale today that I wanted to share with you because it reminded me of a word that I think of when I go out treasure hunting. It really helps me identify items that could turn a huge profit, especially if you wind up pairing it with something that is a vintage item. So I'm going to show you numerous examples of this today using that term. But before I do that, let me show you the item that sold that reminded me of this. And it's this item here. And this is something you may remember seeing from an earlier estate sale that I went to. As soon as I actually walked into the garage area, this was hanging up on the back left wall. I remember it distinctly. It was attached with some staples and or nails. I remember just grabbing a tool and popping those nails or staples off and wiping off the dust and the cobwebs and just envisioning what this would look like when dusted off and when a lint brush was applied to it. And you remember, I always talk about looking past the dust and also looking up on walls. You could find high treasure targets like this sometimes that you might otherwise have missed. It is a pretty big tapestry. It's 40 inches by 56. It's actually very light despite the fact that it's pretty large. It actually went out first class mail, 15 ounces, believe it or not. So I really like this piece in addition to the size, in addition to the nice colors. And despite that it does have nice bright colors, it also has some darkness in the background too. Really gives you that feel of being in the kind of room that they're in, kind of like a dark bar area. So you could picture someone hanging this up in their own bar, or in a man cave type of area, something like that. I always talk about trying to envision what a potential buyer out there would want to do with your item and try to market it that way. So a couple other things that really drew me into this piece. One is that there are a lot of dogs in here. It's not just one, not just two. I mean, we've got a total of 6 of them. And so the more animals that are in there, again, this is what I talk about in terms of thinking of things from the perspective of the buyer, is that it increases the chance that they're going to see an animal there that somewhat resembles or maybe even closely resembles their own pet. And if that's the case, only one of those animals has to match for them to think that it's funny and for them to want to get it and hang it up and pay a high price for it, because say, oh my God, that looks exactly like so-and-so, and go and get it for that reason. So it could be an emotional purchase too for that reason. But the other thing that's really important, and this is what's going to link into the keyword here, is that all of these animals are doing something human. So we have this dog here who is drinking a beer. We have the bulldog here who is smoking a cigarette and shooting pool. We have this dog here which is looking on with eyeglasses, wearing a pair of spectacles there, and looks to be quite worried. This one here is wearing a derby hat and a bow tie. This one here is holding a pool stick and smoking a cigar. And this one over here, let's get you back up. This one here is holding some cash and has got a little visor on and puffing away on a pipe. So what this is an example. All of these things that I just showed you, they're examples of anthropomorphism. The adjective would be anthropomorphic. And what that means, it's a long technical sounding word, but basically what it means is that there is an application of human characteristics to something that is not human. Now, it doesn't always have to be an animal, although many instances it is, but I'll show you examples of things that sell for high prices that are anthropomorphic. That and I know some people are going to say, don't say anthropomorphic, say anthropomorphic, but that's just my New York accent, I guess. I say it that way. But anyway, so I'll show you other examples of pets, of animals, but also of inanimate objects that wind up having human-like characteristics put upon them. Now, anthropomorphism, it comes from the Greek word anthropos, which refers to the word human. I love etymology. It's one of the things I focus on my medical website, medfriendly.com. So you'll see that if you ever go over there. I've always loved it, looking at the study of words and how they came about. The other one is at the very end of that, anthropomorphism. thick. So morpheus, morphous, that refers to form. So it basically means formed like a human. That's how it comes about. So if you think about it, some of the most famous characters of all time have anthropomorphic qualities to them. Here we go, right there. We've got Goofy, although there's always debate on what kind of animal Goofy really is. But that debate aside, we've got Donald Duck there, and we've got Mickey Mouse, and you can go on with all the characters that are anthropomorphic in the Disney line, and outside of that, Hanna-Barbera and all that sort of stuff. But let me go and show you some sales. So by the way, this one I picked up for $5 to $10 and sold it for the price that you see there, $70. So that was definitely some nice profits there. Here's another example. This is one that's sold at auction. It received 18 bids. This is a relatively small piece, dates back to the 1920s. It's only a few inches tall. And this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, that doesn't have to always be an animal. This is a small a decorative piece of corn that has this pirate look to it. So you'll see here that they refer to it as anthropomorphic. It's a roly-poly type of piece. Don't get me wrong, there's lots of other things that combine together to give this value. The age certainly plays into it, but that's like what I mentioned earlier, that it has a vintage quality to it, that roly-poly type of quality. All of those things together really help out with the value. It's a small piece. Smaller pieces, as I'll show you some other examples of later, will also tend to sell well. Why do you think that is? Because they often got lost. The smaller the piece, the more likely they got lost. It's just like with the Star Wars toys from the 1970s. Some of those toy guns, like Han Solo's blaster, they were so small. You know how many vacuum cleaners sucked up those little guns? That's why those little guns are worth so much. But, just another example of smaller pieces will sometimes sell well because they're more scarce in the marketplace. So this one sold at auction, 18 bids, $870. Huge profits indeed. Now, this is another example of something that is anthropomorphic and has nothing to do with animals. This is an anthropomorphic coffee pot, cup, and drip, and it's something you would hang up on the wall. So it's a really cool piece, and one of the things that really helps with the value here is that you have actually something that conveys motion. So that's really important. That really helps to add to that quality that you're looking for of something actually happening. It's like passing something on to the younger one. Of course, those really nice big eyes, that great expression and the shine on it, the luster really helps as well. Really great pieces. These, I believe, date back to around the 1960s. Really nice pieces, sold for $300 plus shipping. Great pieces. 13 bids, again, sold at auction. Now, this is a really cool piece, and this is really tiny. You want to talk about small. I mean, look at it right next to the person's fingers. This is about 1.5 inches tall. Now, this one sold in England for, if we want to convert it to U.S. funds, it's about $250 to $260, again, at auction. And it's a pig, and what's this pig doing? Well, this pig is on his way to the market. Little piggy on his way to the market right there. Look at that. Look at the intricacy of the craftsmanship there. It's really great. So this is another point, is when you have these miniatures, people love miniatures. They love them. And when you combine it with an anthropomorphic quality, that really helps out. So don't get me wrong. It's not like you could just take the word anthropomorphic and slap it onto any listing, and now all of a sudden you're gonna make a crazy sale. But you've got to know when to strategically apply it to certain pieces, and these vintage pieces, these smaller pieces, really help out. So you'll see, again, there's the word miniature, and it also says anthropomorphic. Listen, all these people are putting that word in the listings for a reason, because there are people who will search for them for these collectible types of pieces that I'm showing you, they will look for that. And if you don't have that in your listing, sometimes that could be something that causes you to miss out on a search. I use it in salt and pepper shakers that I list as well. People will look for that. They'll type it in and they'll do their search. So it's important to know of. So let's go on to another one here. This is a bird-like creature here. It's got a top hat and a cane, just like the pig did, walking around. Look again, really nice intricacy to it. Really great piece. Also sold in the $200 range. One of the things that could help this one sell, and this is something that I really think would appeal to a comic collector, because who is this reminding you of? It is reminding me of this guy right here. Reminds me very much of the Penguin when I look at it. Now, that's not something that was mentioned here, but if a comic collector happened to come across this, this is something that could drive up the value. So I actually would have, if I had this piece, I would actually have tried to market it that way in terms of saying, this is something that, reminds me of the Penguin and the Batman series, and maybe even try to find a way to work that into the into the top, into the title. This is a bronze piece. It's painted bronze. So this one is as well. So I just wanted to pass that one on to you. Now, for those of you who like flowers, Jessie Shops would probably love this one. She always is taking pictures on Instagram with all sorts of colorful flowers, so I think she'd really like this piece. A key thing I want to talk to you about with these, and I have sold many pieces that are ceramics that are from Japan, and then combine it with the word anthropomorphic. It really helps. The Japanese did a lot of art like this, a lot of artistic projects that were anthropomorphic, and there's a huge collector's market out there for this. You can see there as I zoom in on that they are hand painted, just like many of the salt and pepper shakers that I've had hand painted. This one's in great shape. If we go and scroll into some of the other pictures here, I'm going to try to show you, looking on the back of it, is where you would identify that this is something from Japan. You'll see right there, it's going to say Japan, and right above there you've got the maker's mark, and the company Pi is one that is popular, PY. That is one that people will also search out for. So I'm trying to give you some additional tips as we go along here as well. And just to show you that that's not a one-off, because that one there sold for $212.50. This one did as well. So this is a really nice one. Looks like a giant sunflower. A cool piece, a cool gloss to it, a cool shine. You could just tell those facial expressions. They don't make art like that anymore. They don't really make pieces like that. That was a specific type of look for a specific type of time period. And there again, you have the maker's mark from Japan. So always look, if you're new at this and you're just kind of trying to think of, hey, what are kind of things I should look for, trying to break into this area, of ceramic pieces. Trust me, look for things that are from Japan, and if they have an anthropomorphic quality, definitely add it. You could see the person who sold this added that term into the title. Show you a couple of more things here. This is a big doe-eyed deer. Really cool figurine here. So it's another pattern that you're noticing as well, is that we have these big bright eyes, and we've got the eyelashes on here. This is what is helping to make it anthropomorphic. So the eyes are a huge feature here, both in terms of that they are, they're beautiful to look at, but from an artistic perspective. But at the same time, again, it gives it that human-like quality, and that's what your buyer is relating to. That's what. I'm a big dog person, big animal person. I love deer. Mrs. Primetime loves deer as well. I mean, we love animals because of their innocence, but we also love them because we see human-like qualities in them. We do that all the time with our pets, and we attribute human-like qualities to them as well. And so the more an artist could bring that type of stuff out, that's something that could really enhance value. Again, on the bottom, you see Japan. You won't always be able to clearly identify a maker's mark. This one sold for $200. Just the fact sometimes that it says Japan could be enough to make it to sell when you combine it with it being an anthropomorphic piece. This one over here is some anthropomorphic birds. The company that I want you to pay attention to is one that is a real popular one. If you find it, chances are you're going to do pretty well. I've done well with them with salt and pepper shakers, and the company's name is Lefton. Now, a good thing here, again, we have multiple animals. We have, babies interacting with the mama bird. So things that show kind of like a parental relationship, sort of like this one back here, where it looks kind of like a mom is almost feeding the baby cup, even though that's ridiculous and doesn't make any sense, or like the pitcher is feeding the cup, like a mother child relationship. People like that, even if it doesn't really make any sense. People like it. Now, obviously, it makes much more sense over here with the birds, but really, really, really cool piece. Those sold again for right around $200. You will see the Lefton name on the bottom of the pieces. It will look different depending on what era it was made. Doesn't look like I could zoom. Maybe I could zoom into it so you could see it better. Let's see here. There we go. It's upside down there, but it does say Lefton. We've got the sticker there, and it's also there's also a Lefton signature. So it depends. You'll see it in different ways. Sometimes the sticker will fall off, and you might just be left with the signature. So last piece, which I believe is also a Lefton. Yes, it is. There's some more birds, but instead of these being wall hangings, this is a tea set. So you can see there's all sorts of different things out there. It's just, some of them are animals, some of them are not. Really nice pieces right here. Again, we've got a parental relationship, so that's another theme as well. The Lefton marks should be right here on the bottom. There you go. That's a better view of it. What I was trying to show before, we've got the sticker there, and then we've got the signature right above it, and then we've got a numerical identification there. So I hope that this video helped out in terms of helping identify themes, remembering that concept of anthropomorphism, and remembering to sometimes use that term in your listings. It really can help you in terms of enhancing search results and can bring you in some huge profits. If you like the video, please make sure that you hit the like button. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you come by, especially today, to my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. We've got a huge seller-thon going on with over 17,000 members. A lot of people are going to make tons of sales, so you don't want to miss it. Make sure you go down to the description section, check it out, and come on and join. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. Also, come over to my Instagram account. That's at prime_time_treasure. I'll see you all back at the next video, everyone. Take care.